Dach Yomi, Tes Vav, the second half of the page, Parshas Chayesara, Maimer Yigal and Tame. Explained yesterday the difference between eating on Shabbos and eating during the weekdays. That during the weekdays, the idea of eating is in order to elevate the food into holiness. That the food itself comes from klipas noiga, comes from something which could be connected to holiness or to unholiness. And when you eat it, and it helps you to serve Hashem, that's from the strength, the physical strength that you gain from eating the food. Then you learn Torah and you do mitzvahs. So then the life from the food becomes elevated into holiness. So that's called, you're elevating the food, you're rectifying and fixing and elevating that food that it should be included in holiness. Whereas on Shabbos, the idea of eating is not just in order to elevate the food from unholiness, but that you should connect to the source of the food. That since the person's soul is from Atzilus, is from Tikkun, and the source of the food is from Taihu, or from Hashem's, the infinite light. So by eating the food on Shabbos, you're able to connect to the source of the food, that it should, from the infinite light of the world of Taihu, it should come into your neshama, that you should have a much greater strength in the service of Hashem, much greater enjoyment in the service of Hashem. So that's the idea of eating on Shabbos. And we left off, and we said that's the idea of weekday and Shabbos, and then the Yom Tif, which is in between Shabbos and the weekday. Okay. So in the Torah or the original Torah or 6 lines from the top of the mimer, the middle. Rak b'Yom Tif ksiv perish chagechem. On Yom Tif it says that there's the idea of waste that comes from eating on Yom Tif. As we said that on Shabbos when you eat, there's no spiritual waste. Just like physically when you eat food, so the part of the food becomes absorbed, it gives you nourishment, and part of the food becomes waste that is not absorbed in you. So too spiritually, during the weekdays when you eat, so the life from the food becomes elevated to holiness. But the physical desire and the physical pleasure that you have to push them aside because they are not holy. So that's like the waste, the spiritual waste. On Shabbos there's no spiritual waste, because even the enjoyment of the food is also elevated into holiness. So there's no spiritual waste on Shabbos. On Yom Tif, there's a little bit of spiritual waste, because the idea that the source of the food in the world of Taihu is being revealed to you is not completely revealed on Yom Tif, only on Shabbos. Because the Aliyah Sa'ilam Hais, this that all the worlds are ascending to their source and revealed in them their source in Hashem, is only complete on Shabbos. On Yom Tif it happens a little bit, meaning on Yom Tif you can see more the source of everything in Hashem, and that's why you can't work on Yom Tif, but you could work a little bit on Yom Tif. You could do some malachas that you need for eating. So therefore it's not a complete Aliyah Sa'ilam Hais, and therefore there is a possibility that you could also have physical enjoyment in the food which is not holy, and therefore you have to remove that. And that's spiritual waste is called perish chagechem. Right? B'Yom Tov ksiv perish chagechem. B'Yom Tov yesh b'kitzas bira. Because on Yom Tif there is some aspect of food that you have to refine and elevate, that the pleasure that you have in the food should become holy. Because on Yom Tif you can do work you can do malachas, you can do work for things that you need to eat. In other words, you can cook and you can bake on Yom Tif that you can't do on Shabbos. Which shows that, right, it says, why can't you work on Shabbos? Because since it's Aliyah Sa'ilam Hais. So, man de machve kame malka, this is not a good thing when you're in the palace of the king. So, if you do anything which is not relating to the king, so it's like you're rebelling against the king. So on Shabbos, that you see in everything how it's coming directly from Hashem Himself. So if you do anything that shows that you're not thinking only about Hashem, you think about something else, so that's like rebellion against Hashem. On Yom Tif, you could do things which are more physical, like baking and cooking, which shows that you're not as much, it's not revealed so much in your world how you're in Hashem's palace like it is on Shabbos. And that's why you could do some work. The only thing that it's aser, the only thing you're not allowed to do, is very coarse actions like planting and sowing and plowing. Since you could do some work on Yom Tif for the food that you need to eat, that shows that there is an aspect of the spiritual aspect of the food needs to be elevated, and the way that you fix that, the way that you remove that negative aspect from the food, is by inviting guests over to your meal for Yom Tif and making them happy. The time of Simcha, which is Yom Tif, is the time when you have to make everyone happy. Like it says that on Yom Tif, everyone has to come together and be happy. You and the Levi and the guy who's just together with you. Because the idea of Simcha is that if something is negative, so you remove the negative aspect through Simcha, through happiness. How do you see that? How do you see that Simcha, happiness, removes strict judgment? Like we see that somebody is very happy. He wants that everyone should be happy. So then he's not so judgmental. That when a person is not in a good mood, so he doesn't give to everybody all the time. If somebody really likes, he'll give, and otherwise he won't give, because he's being very judgmental, because he's being very dinim, he's being very judgmental. He's not so expressing himself. Whereas when he's very happy, he says in Chassidus, by his chasana of his son or his own chasana, so he just gives to everybody because he's so happy. So he doesn't think that this guy is like this and this guy is like this. He says, I'm happy, so everybody should also be happy. So it's a good way. That's right, the drinks are on me. Exactly. So that's the way it should be. So the same thing when we're happy in the service of Hashem. So then we see how Hashem is also happy. Like it says in the Zohar, that the way that Hashem shows to us is like the way that we act. So if we show that we're very happy to serve Hashem, then Hashem shows that He's very happy to give us everything, and there's no strict judgments. But somebody, it says in the Zohar, someone who doesn't give to poor people on Yom Tif, so then he's only thinking about himself. So then the negative spiritual aspect of the food becomes connected to him, that he becomes lower through the connecting to the unholiness in the food. So then he's not making everyone happy. So there's still this strict judgment, perish, and therefore there's this spiritual waste from the food that you're connected to. And therefore the punishment is that he gets this perishes waste, the spiritual waste of the food, meaning that he becomes lower through the eating on Yom Tif. It doesn't elevate him, but it just makes him more physical, because he didn't make everybody happy. He didn't go out of himself to show that he likes everybody and that everybody should be happy. So therefore it wasn't revealed to him how Hashem is like that also. If that's on Yom Tif, that since there is some work they're allowed to do for baking and cooking, so therefore there's still the possibility of unholiness in the food, and you have to remove that possibility. But on Shabbos, even if you don't give to a poor person, so it's not so bad. For sure on Shabbos you should also have guests over, obviously. But the question is, when you have guests over, what does it accomplish? Does it just accomplish that you're having Amos Yisrael? Or does it make that the eating is a different kind of eating? The meal is a different kind of meal. So during Shabbos, even if you're not eating, even if you don't have guests over, the eating is still holy, because it's revealed in the food that its source is from Hashem. And not only is it source from Hashem, it's from Hashem who is expressed in Olam HaTohu, where Hashem is infinite light. And so just the eating is a holy thing. Whereas on Yom Tif, since the eating itself is connected to something unholy, because it's not the Aliyah Salamas isn't complete. So therefore, if you don't have guests over, then you could become lower through the eating. That through having your big Yom Tif party, but the only one you invited to your Yom Tif party was you. So therefore, it's not such a good thing. So that's the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tif. Ki b'Shabbos ein perish klal lefishu brak b'chinas hamshocha shemela the lo yigur chara klal. And on Shabbos, there's no negative aspect because it's just in everything it's revealed it's source and Hashem. Whereas in Yom Tov it's not that way, but more than on the weekday. So in other words, it's saying that there's three things: there's eating on the weekday, eating on Yom Tov, and eating on Shabbos. So during the weekday, the whole avodah is to make a beer. The whole idea is you have to fight against the food. What are you not fighting against the food? You're not getting in a food fight, even if it's not a physical food fight. What does a spiritual food fight mean? The Shem Shemayim. You don't want to just have physical pleasure in the food, but you want to use the food to help you serve Hashem. So you're fighting against your physical desire that shouldn't be what you're going after when you eat the food, that you should actually be thinking about Hashem and thinking about how you want the food to help you serve Hashem. And that's what you're fighting over. Because the nefesh, the Yetzer Hara, so he's not interested in so much in thinking about Hashem. He'd rather just think about, just let me eat and be in peace. Why do you make me crazy? So they have to fight that your whole intention should be to serve Hashem. On Yom Tif, you don't have to have so much fighting against the food. You have to have Einig Yom Tif. You have to eat food that you do like. But if it's only about you and if it's not for anyone else, so then it's also unholy because it's connected to your own ego. It's connected to your own yesh. And so the food also makes you a bigger ego. Whereas on Shabbos, the whole avodah is just that through the food, it's revealed its source in Hashem, and so it brings you additional life, additional excitement in the service of Hashem. When you eat the food, the kavod Shabbos kodesh, meaning you're eating the food. It's true, it's food that your nefesh Bahamas likes, but you're eating it in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Einig Shabbos. So then, the spiritual source of the food is revealed in you, and so it brings you a deeper connection to Hashem through eating that food on Shabbos. So now, we explain a little bit about the difference between eating Shabbos and eating during the week. The question is, if this is true, that there's this great holiness that's revealed in eating on Shabbos, so how come we don't experience that so much? I mean, a little bit we do. Everybody knows that it's in it's Sudas Shabbos, and all Yidden are very careful to have Sudas Shabbos. But how come by davening you feel, this is something very holy? Whereas you eat a piece of chicken, you don't feel so holy. Okay, kavod Shabbos kodesh. Okay, so it's very holy. But how come we're not experiencing it so much? So the answer is because what we're able to experience on Shabbos is only through the Yud Beis Lachamim. It's through the 12 loaves of bread. What are these 12 loaves of bread? In the Beis HaMikdash, they baked 12 loaves of matzah, which were thick matzah, and they was put on the shulchan, and that was called lechem aponim. It was like boxes, different, had an interesting shape, kind of boxed matzah bread. And so this corresponds to Malchus of Atzilus, the shulchan with the 12 loaves of bread. And since everything that we're getting in our world is through Malchus of Atzilus, which that's the idea of a tzimtzum, like we explained previously about how that works, the idea of the tzimtzum in the parsa. So since everything that we're getting is through that parsa, it's through Malchus of Atzilus, so we can't experience fully what's really going on Shabbos. Whereas when Mashiach comes, we'll be able to fully experience what happens on Shabbos. A tzaddik nowadays, or even nowadays, if a tzaddik eats on Shabbos, he feels that there's something, he feels the source of the food being revealed in him. So, but why? How come we don't feel that? Because there's this concealment, there's this Halam Master that's happening, and so we're only receiving a slight revelation compared to the revelation will be when Mashiach comes. So that's what we're asking. That they should be revealed this taste, this enjoyment of Shabbos that's hidden in the 12 loaves of bread, meaning that's hidden in Malchus of Atzilus, that we can't fully experience what's going on Shabbos. We want that it should be completely revealed in us. And it helps us now when we learn Chassidus and we understand about how this works. So then we could feel it more. Not as much as when Mashiach comes, but much more we'll be able to experience what Shabbos is about. But in order to explain this idea, the idea is that this revelation of Hashem that's coming on Shabbos, which that's the source of the food and the source of all the things in this world, is through two levels, the Chachma and Bina, which that's Yod and Hei of Hashem's name, Havaya, in Atzilus. And the way that these two letters of Hashem's name are coming into this world is in a way called Kfila Uklisha. Kalisha means that it's a slight revelation. It's a minute revelation, like one line, like a one-liner. And Kfila means it's a duplicate, it's a copy, meaning it's a complete revelation. What does that mean? It means that the revelation of Hashem's Chachma, which that's the Yud, is only coming to us in the way of like a Vav. Is only coming like one line. Meaning, what's the idea of Chachma? That intellect is connecting to higher than intellect. That you connect to something completely beyond yourself. On Shabbos, you connect to something completely beyond yourself, to Hashem's, the source of everything in Hashem, which this is beyond our understanding. It's higher than intellect. It's higher than Seder Shtalshalos. It's Shabbos Lavaya. And on Shabbos, you can experience that to a certain extent, depending on how edel you are, how sensitive and refined you are. You can experience that. But compared to the true revelation of what that means, it's very, very limited. To really experience the revelation of Chachma on Shabbos is a tzaddik experiences that very strongly. We experience that to whatever extent we can, but it's very limited compared to the real revelation of Chachma Batzilus. Whereas Bina Batzilus, the understanding that you can have about Hashem, that's like a duplicate, because we could have an understanding. If you learn Chassidus and you think about it, it can make sense. So from Bina Batzilus coming to us, it's like kafila, it's like a duplicate, it's an actual revelation. This revelation is called the Mili. The Middle Rebbe explains in the Siddur Dach that the idea of the Mili is that when you want to spell, when you have a word written, when you have a letter written, so it's one dot. Yud, if you want to look at the letter Yud, it's just the letter Yud. But when you want to say Yud, you have to say Yud, Vav, Dal. You have to say Yud, right? It takes all three letters if you want to say it, if you want to reveal it. So the Mili, that's the part that brings it to revelation. That's the hidden part, the how you reveal it. So that's called the Mili. So the Mili of the Yud is a Vav and a Dalet, and the Mili of the Hey is another Hey. Meaning, the Mili of the Yud of Chachma Vatzilus is only through a Vav and a Dalet. It's not two Yuds. The Mili of a Yud is not another Yud, meaning the revelation of Chachma is not a complete, perfect copy, so we can't fully experience Chachma. Whereas Hey is, what's the Mili of Hey? Is another Hey, meaning that we're able to, what's able to be revealed from us of Bina Vatzilus is like a duplicate, meaning we could have an actual understanding of Hashem, of Elokus, through learning Chassidus. So what is this? This revelation of the source of the food and the source of all the physical things in this world that's coming to us on Shabbos is in two ways: a duplicate form and a weaker form. Hamshachas Yudin Vavin Shem Yud Nase Vav Sheyid Asman Lemshachas V'Nases Vav. What is this smaller, this not so intense revelation? That's a Yud coming into the Vav. Like we said, the Mili of Yud is Yud Vav Dalid. So when the Yud is coming into the Vav and the Dalid, it's from the Yud comes a Vav. So the Yud itself comes into a Vav. Ki the Fisha Yud hu b'chenas Tzimtzum. L'chen yochel yis mimen hamshacha b'chenas Vav. Since the Yud is the idea of Tzimtzum, so in other words, what we're able to experience from Chachma is only through a Tzimtzum. So that limited revelation is coming to us directly through the Vav. L'chen yochel yis mimen hamshacha b'chenas Vav min ha'Yud atzma v'al ha'Hei sheyas peshas erech v'rechav. Being is Pashas Erech V'Rechav Shel Mayla Yichol Isgal Samata Kamashi Hu L'Mayla B'Chenas Erech V'Rechav Anikis Cholu El Amshacha Hi B'Chenas Hei Acheres Samata V'Hi B'Chenas Hamili Shal Hei Nehainu Koyach Hei Shahaya B'Helam L'Mayla. So here Alter Rebbe is saying that the revelation of Chachma, which is coming through a Tzimtzum, it's coming to us and above. It's coming directly. Whereas this Hey, even though we just said that it's a duplicate, but it's only the Mili of the Hey. It's not the whole, it's not the original Hey. Because the Mili, the hidden letters, this means what was hidden originally, and that's what's being revealed to you. So this duplicate, this double Hey, that's the idea of the Maras HaMachpelah. We said, what connection does this have to do with Chayei Sarah? The idea of Chayesara is it speaks about the burial of Rivka in the Maras HaMachpelah. So what's HaMachpelah? It means Hey Machpil, the double Hey. So in the double Hey, there's different explanations. If it's Bina and Malchus, in Bina itself, and in Malchus, there's each one is composed of two Heys, because the way you spell Hey is Hey Hey. So whatever it is, that's the idea of the Maras HaMachpelah, and that's the idea here, because the way that we're able to experience Shabbos is through the Kfila and the Kalisha, through the Yud coming into the Vav, and through the Hey expressed in another Hey, meaning through the duplicate Hey. That's how we're able to have an understanding of Hashem on Shabbos. This is what we're able to receive from the 12 loaves of that were on the Shulchan in the Beis HaMikdash, which means through Malchus Vatzilas that this Panemius Keser, this Panemius Atik, the Tainig of Hashem's enjoyment, which is expressed and revealed in everything on Shabbos, that is only coming to us through Malchus Vatzilas, so we can't experience it fully. But when Mashiach comes, He revealed to us the reason, the hidden enjoyment which is in these 12 loaves. So then it won't be kefila klisha, it won't be this limited revelation of Hashem's chachma and bina, but rather the hay itself will be revealed. And that's what it means. He'll reveal to us the hidden enjoyment which is in these 12 loaves. And that's what it says. On that day, it'll be Hashem, it'll be one, His name will be one. What does that mean? There's now, Hashem's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. When Mashiach comes, it'll be Yud Kei, 2 times. Because the second the Vav Kei will be like Yud Kei, meaning that the revelation that we have will be like it is above. So then we'll be able to fully experience the idea of Shabbos.